So this is another video just talking about how I researched my book Hearts of Steel, the time that my great-grandfather spent in the Royal Navy from 1918 through till 1945. And I was really lucky. I went down to Portsmouth Naval Dockyard and the library there, and I was shown a particular book, one of these two, of which I managed to purchase a copy of each. And what these two books talk about is the commissioning to the East Indies station, which lasted 2.5 years at a time, of the cruisers HMS Effingham and HMS Hawkins, both Hawkins class cruisers. And my great-grandfather, Herbert Leader, was on board at the time. And I knew that obviously from his record. And so I immediately had a source of associated material. So I knew exactly where the ships had been, what they were up to, and of course what the crews were up to. So by association, I can then elaborate on that. And I know that Herbert was there. So he was there and experiencing, if not firsthand, he was obviously talking about these experiences with his crewmates. And so I used the first commissioning between 1925 and 1927. This is Hawkins. It's a bit of a battered book now. It's very old, obviously. And I used that to really paint a picture of what life aboard was like, the humour that went with it. Whilst they were working, they were having a fantastic time. They were having parties, they were entertaining dignitaries, they were organising tournaments, military tournaments and like, and they were really protecting the power of the Royal Navy and the British Empire at the time, and protecting the seas. They were looking after the Empire's investments abroad. The second commission was between 1932 and 1935. And that's quite interesting because what I didn't want to do is two pieces of the book that were the same, just talking about similar things. So Nil Desperandum led me to talk about separate issues. And by that, I mean, at that time, you have the rise of Nazism. The Japanese were being more isolated and building their own empire. And there was this kind of, obviously this kind of rumour of war coming along, or another conflict, which nobody really wanted, but it looked like it was coming. And that's quite brought out in a small piece in here about when Hawkins was detached from the East Indies station and went through to the China station, Singapore in particular, where they were holding a naval conference and discussing developments in the world at that time. And it says in there that there was this feeling, the press were talking about conflict happening at some point, and that leads you down another path, and really gave me a chance to then explore the lead up to the Second World War, and in particular the arms race that developed, certainly on naval terms. You have to remember the Navy was massive at that time, and so it was an incredibly powerful force, and really what the roots of that were in the Versailles Treaty and the end of the First World War, when the German Navy surrendered, a humiliating real surrender, where this mass of ships sailed up to the Firth of Forth, and the crews were pretty much taken off. They had skeleton crews. They were taken up to Scapa Flow, and eventually, because they were there so long, and the Versailles Treaty took so long to sort out, that the German Navy scuttled them, and I managed to talk about that, and then the arms race that followed, which is the Washington Treaty and how ships were designed and restrictions made. So those were the nuclear weapons, as it were, of that particular time. So these two books are very valuable to part one of Hearts of Steel, and yeah, I am so pleased that I have these in my library, because these are the heart of that first part of the book.